Hey, IOSDEX here, #1 private Overwatch coach over on iosdex.com and former head coach for organizations such as NYXL and the Boston Uprising. You know, tough shit. I'll just leave it open on the side. Actually, I'm gonna copy this and paste it somewhere so I don't accidentally lose it. There we go. All right. As I mentioned in DMs, I am recording, so you know, don't say anything that can be used against you in court, I guess.
Or my social security number.
Heck yeah. So, let me quickly get on the website. There we go. Wait, am I dumb? No, I'm not dumb. Wait, am I dumb? Oh, right. Okay. I was so confused because I was like, wait, this isn't your first session, right? Because you're scheduled as a right? Okay, yeah. Okay, wait.
This is my first session with you for Overwatch. I had one a couple years ago with Valorant, but we had to reschedule this one.
Okay. No, okay, makes sense. Yeah, I just need to quickly orient myself. I think I got it now. Okay. So, let me get everything sorted here.
So I'm starting to get better at the game. I think you're the guy.
Heck yeah. So, right, yes, the unranked replay code. Okay.
I have a ranked one if you want to see it instead.
It's fine. We can use this one for now. So, first of all, the same disclaimers as back then. Everything you say is private. In spite of me recording for you, I do still recommend you take notes. And obviously, as part of the Phoenix Pass, if you have any questions, all you need to do is just send me a DM, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Now, the way that this is structured is, I think, actually the exact same way that your Valorant session was probably structured back then. And that first we'll do a little bit of talking, and after that, we're going to take a look at the gameplay. So, awesome. When you scheduled the appointment, you had to fill out some basic information in a form. So we're going to take a look at that first, make sure that nothing there is super out of the ordinary, and then once that's done, we're going to take a look at the gameplay. So,
love it.
Can you maybe kind of, I mean, obviously you played Valorant back then, but can you kind of give me a quick outline of the story behind you, now pursuing Overwatch competitively?
Well, I am originally a League of Legends player. That's what I played a lot. Fuck that game. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I can cuss. F that game.
But why wouldn't you be able to cuss?
Oh, I don't know. I guess. Oh, yeah, you're recording for me.
I'm recording for you. I'm not recording for YouTube. You can say whatever the fuck. Oh, even if I recorded for YouTube, like as long as you don't use like really bad language like the N-word or something, you can say fuck, cunt, shit, piece of cock as much as you want.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Awesome. So I was playing League. I kind of got bored of League and stuff like that. I tried Overwatch back in the day. Again, a couple years ago, played maybe 30, 40 hours, probably 40 hours of DPS Ash. Then again, like I said, I quit. Did a little bit of Valorant, a lot of League, and now I just came back around to, because it came back out not too long ago, Overwatch 2, and I was like, let me give it another try. It's apparently for free because I already got it before, and so I just got on it, and I actually kind of really like it now. But I'm just bad.
Okay, so what's like your ambition within Overwatch?
I would like. See, I don't know what's realistic, but if no hold bar, I like the idea of being masters eventually. I would like or grandmaster, and again, after you see this, you're like, really, dude? But I want to get diamond in 1 year.
Okay,
that's my goal. Yeah, right. Probably 1 year. I wanted to do 1 year starting the day of the session. So from here on out, I want to get diamond in 1 year.
Okay. That's a little conservative.
That's conservative?
That's pretty conservative, yes.
Well, that's a good thing then, right, for me?
Yes. I mean, Yes, within a year, like.
No, but listen, you haven't seen the gameplay yet. You're being generous.
Well, of course it's bad.
Gameplay.
That's why you're here, right? I'm not saying that you're amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should be diamond right now, but within a year, like, I think realistically, if you stick with the Phoenix Pass, if you show up to your sessions, if you ask questions, and you keep, you said you invest 15 hours a week. If that continues and you just do what I tell you, I'd say that, diamond within like 6 to 8 months is doable.
Holy shit. Then why do people get so? I mean, obviously, why do people get stuck in like gold for years?
That's a very good question, actually. I love it when people ask me that question because it's a very interesting answer that I always love to answer. So the reason people get hard stuck is let me come up with an analogy. Let's take a bronze.
I'm 35, by the way. I don't know if that makes a difference because my aim's shit.
No, it's 35. See, I hate it, man. Like, people keep coming in here saying, "Oh, I'm in my 30s, dude. My back hurts. I'm so old, bro. I'm 24 and my back hurts." Like, you're not fucking old yet. Okay,
that's true. I'm not.
You have a few more decades, before.
I have a future.
You sure do, and you're too young to have a midlife crisis. Okay, so imagine a bronze Moira. Okay, and let's say she's bronze, and she experiments with her playstyle. And one day, she tells herself, "Fuck it, I'm going to play DPS Moira. I'm going to give 0 fucks about my team.
Okay.
I'm going to fade into the enemy backline. I'm going to drop a damage orb, and I'm going to just kill people." And she does that, right? And it's bronze. So, success. It's going to work out pretty well, right?
I hear you going at, yeah.
So she climbs to silver, okay? And then in silver, no offense, people still aren't that good. So it'll probably still work there. But let's say she gets to gold, right? And gold is like the first, it's like, by no means good, but it's like the first rating that's like, you can share with someone without feeling too bad, like it's an okay rank.
Yeah.
And so she goes into the gold game, her first gold game, and she fades into the enemy backline, and she uses her damage orb, and all of a sudden it doesn't work. Now, there's 3 options she has, right? The correct option is to say, well, okay, I guess I'm not in bronze anymore. I think I need to adapt. That's what a smart person would do. But then there are 2 less smart options. The first unsmart option is, my playstyle can't be wrong. It's worked all this time. The playstyle is correct. It's my teammates who suck.
Okay.
And every single game she loses, she's like, my teammates suck. There's no way to climb out of this. This is elo hell. Or, option number 3, right? She doesn't blame her teammates. She blames her aim. She's like, oh, if I would have tracked with my right click a little bit better, if I would have strafed a little bit better, the playstyle is fine, the decision is fine, but maybe my mechanics aren't good enough, right? So the reason people get hard stuck is because they have an assumption about the game, right, that they take as fact. I hope this doesn't offend you, but hard stuck people in Overwatch are basically flat earthers.
Okay. Yeah.
Where they believe in something so harsh that, like, unless a literal professional coach tells them they're being dumb, they're not going to question it. And that's how people get hard stuck for years upon years upon years upon years.
Okay.
Does it answer the question?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so you're currently focusing on Baptiste, so I'm assuming you play support exclusively.
Baptiste and Zen. I don't know which one. I think I gave you a Zen gut thing. I don't know. I keep going between the 2. I like Zen, but my aim is shit. And Baptiste is a little more forgiving. But I think his kit. If this you might think I could be wrong about this. Again, I'm just bronze. I don't know what I'm about it as much, but I feel that Baptiste's kit is actually pretty complex on when to use it. versus Zen? Even though I know Zen's is kind of too, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the main difference is that Zenyatta is the most mechanically demanding character in the entire fucking game. By far.
Oh. Okay, shit.
By far. Widowmaker,
Is that because of
Hanzo.
his projectiles?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The most difficult mechanically. So for that reason, right, given your playtime isn't bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty average. 2 hours a day is pretty average, right? And if you could play more, if you could play like 3 hours a day, like 21 hours a week, that would help a lot with a character like Zen. Obviously, a character like Baptiste or Ana, they also benefit from mechanics, but they're not quite as mechanically challenging as a character like Zenyatta. So if you feel like that's daunting, then you don't necessarily have to play Zen. Unless you say, I love this character so much, I want to get really good at him, then obviously you can play him. But just know that you're in for a ride, because it is very difficult.
Okay, let me ask you this. If you were training, well, I guess a bronze, and you were giving them a plan of action, like a workup, like to understand like the fundamentals, the foundation of Overwatch, who would you recommend them to play? To just get the basics of the basics?
Moira Baptiste. Probably.
And why is that?
Because they're both like some very forgiving mechanically, but they still reward mechanics. So for example, Baptiste, you can play Baptiste without having amazing aim, but if you do have amazing aim, it's going to pay off, right? And kind of the same thing with Moira, where like you don't need like amazing mechanics with Moira, but you know, if you can comfortably, you know, track people at very close range with your right click, that's nice. Right. They're both also very, very forgiving because Moira has Fade and Baptiste has his Shift and his Immortality Field, which means that you can play more, you can kind of limit test more without instantly feeding, you know? So, for example, with Moira, you can play pretty aggressively and, you know, not get punished for it, because worst case, you just have to fade out and say, oh, okay, that was a bit aggressive, I had to use Fade. But with a character like Zenyatta, out of position once, you're dead. No second chances.
No. Yeah.
Right? So yeah, Moira Bub is probably the easiest, not easiest, or actually easiest to get into. Most forgiving kind of beginner characters to just get a feeling for the pace and rhythm of the game.
Okay. Now, the reason I'm always hesitant with Moira is because if I practice her, I don't think I'd get decent aim. Because she has a pretty lenient suction thing, whatever she does.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like,
Yes, that is true. It's not necessarily like a bad thing, however, because it's not like it's not like you're playing Moira prevents you from getting good aim. Right.
That's true. Yeah,
you can always pick up a more aim-intensive hero later down the line and then kind of improve your mechanics. Building good mechanics doesn't take as long as one might think.
So if I pick Zen, then I would probably have to do a lot of extra time on, which I'm fine with doing.
Yes.
On aim stuff and.
Yes. Okay. Yes. If you said I want to one-trick Zen, you know, I would just give you like a Zen. Again, this is more for an aim coaching session, less so for these kinds of sessions. But if you had like an aim coaching session on Zenyatta, I would give you like a proper specific aim training routine for Zenyatta, which would warrant, you know, like additional time investment, you know, like maybe an additional like 3 hours a week or so to allow for the additional aim training needed to perform with a character like Zenyatta.
You know, I'm happy you said that, because that's kind of my next question, because I really do like Zen a lot. And I remember asking you in the DMs, I was asking you, you know, does that also come with like, or this pass, does it also come with the aim, like, can I get some aim training too? And you said, yeah. So I was thinking about doing that. Maybe our next session, maybe if I decide, I really like Zen. I know I'm a bronze, but I really like Zen.
Yeah, all you'll need for the aim coaching session is you need to find a way to record your hand cam. So, use just take your phone, prop it up against something, and have it record your hand while you play a round of deathmatch.
On the side or on top?
Kind of a bit of both. So it doesn't have to be like perfectly bird's eye, but it shouldn't be, flat on your table recording from the side, right?
Okay.
Usually the angle isn't the problematic factor. If anything, the main reason I have to ask people to re-record handcam footage is because for some reason they don't turn on the fucking lights. So usually angle isn't the problem, lighting is the problem. So just make sure you have like a lamp or something. That's usually a good idea.
I'll do that.
And then also a replay code of a deathmatch game. Right, doesn't have to be the same one you recorded the handcam footage in, but just in general.
Deathmatch as in free for all.
Deathmatch as in try-hard FFA custom games.
Okay, I can do that.
Do you know about them?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right. So let's see what else we have in the forum. What's your main goal? I'd love to get diamond in 1 year. I don't know the realistic expectations, he says. What have you tried to improve so far? I just try to play more and understand the game. Because I am new, I warm up for 20 minutes and then play either ranked alone, or if a friend is playing, we do quick play. I always play ranked alone though. Right, so this is kind of the first part. I told you can hit diamond within 6 to 8 months. One requirement is, or like the main requirement is that you do what I tell you, and the first thing that I tell you is completely removing quick play from your practice routine, as in not a single quick play game on your account.
I can't have friends. Damn.
You can have friends, but here's the thing, right? You are no longer treating Overwatch as a fun pastime. You're treating it, the way that someone treats piano lessons or Spanish classes, Like, it can be fun, but you're doing it not so much for fun, you're doing it for fulfillment. To get better at something, right? So I'm not saying you can no longer spend time with friends, right? But you kind of have to tell your friends like, hey, we can play together, but my desire to improve comes first. So either we play Overwatch, but if we play Overwatch, you're not going to distract me and we're going to play ranked. Or if, that's too try hard for you, we play something else that isn't Overwatch. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
I'll make them play rank.
Again, you can do that, but make sure that they're not a distraction. No talking about the weather or bantering, right? No big distractions.
It's just one other. Yeah, no. The good thing with this, at least, is it's one other person, and when we're playing the game. We're talking about the game, what's going on. We're people behind calling things out and stuff like that. But
yes,
we do quick
yes,
I
yes.
play.
Not even that. Not even that.
Okay.
Like, keep communication basically to a minimum, because the problem is that, no offense, but it's bronze.
No, I agree with you.
So you don't really need communication, and if anything, it's going to be very distracting. When you go into a ranked game, that's something we call deliberate practice, which means we don't just go in there, we deliberately practice a specific thing. We try to either experiment with a certain play style, or we try to build a specific habit. And in order to do that as efficiently as possible, we need to be able to focus on that. And when someone is like constantly talking to you, that's also one of the reasons I don't do live coaching. So where someone comes in and they share their screen while they play ranked, because the educational value of that is pretty low. Having to play the game while some German dude across the ocean is shouting in your ear, not super constructive. But okay, why do you think you're not climbing? Where do I start? LOL. Don't fundamentally understand the game and how it's played. I don't do enough damage or healing as Baptiste. My positioning is bad. I don't stay close to cover, and I am too far forward. I believe I hold onto some abilities too long instead of putting them on CD. Okay, so already some good ideas. Obviously, once we see the game, we'll have a better idea of what exactly that looks like. But yeah, I mean, we should have all of the basics covered here, which means if you are good to go, I'm sharing my screen and we can take a look at the gameplay. We are a little bit ahead of schedule, so if you have any questions or any topics you want to talk about that don't directly relate to the game, this is your chance to ask them.
Nope, I'm good.
We're speed running today.
I don't play around.
Okay. Now I'm going to be giving you a disclaimer. This replay code is like 10 minutes long. So we might have to like end a little bit sooner.
Oh no, I don't.
Right?
I don't mind. Yeah, as long as I get the value, which I am so far, I appreciate.
Okay,
I don't mind
okay,
that. Yeah.
okay,
I run a business myself. So I'm with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What business do you run?
I am a self-help coach, so I understand when it's like an hour session, but we're 40 minutes in, and they're like, "Okay, I got it." I'm like, "Well, then I'm not just going to go around for 20 minutes."
That's very refreshing to hear. Again, that's one of the one of the main downsides with quick play. They're just very short matches usually. Mm-hmm. But okay, so before we even look at the gameplay, maybe we can do a little bit of theory first. So can you just tell me in your own words, give me a little bit of a Zenyatta crash course, a little bit of a Zenyatta 101.
I think Zenyatta it's just heavy damage dealer. Obviously, yes. I think he's very good for line LOS, like right where I'm at right now. Mm-hmm. Like you said, positioning is very important. Mm-hmm. I think putting the orb of harmony on that one, I don't know. In terms of my team, I'd probably want to. Well, I mean, I guess who's ever getting attacked, and then put the Orb of Discord on whoever's, I guess, the biggest threat on the other team. I guess I'm not sure. That's all I really know.
And that's exactly why I ask the question, because kind of trying to explain something is a very good tool to discover which aspects of it you maybe don't understand super well. Right? Okay. It's kind of the equivalent if you're in class and the teacher shows you how to solve a certain math problem and you just follow along and you think to yourself that everything makes sense the way he's explaining it. But then when you're actually presented a similar problem in front of you, you don't even know where to start. Right?
That's a good analogy.
I've
been there.
So Zenyatta's role, right? The specific niche that he fills is, as you've correctly assessed, damage. Right? He can deal significant amounts of damage, and he has very high pick potential. His specific niche is he's the tank fucker. So if the enemy team have a tank that is problematic, right? Zenyatta is the man, woman, robot, whatever, to deal with that.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because of how we need to think about his Discord orb. You don't want to think of your Discord orb as a percentage damage increase, even though theoretically that's what it is. What you really want to think of it as is think of it as reducing the damage needed to kill an enemy, like reducing the enemy's max HP. Okay. Right? So with a squishy, if you place it on a squishy, the problem is that their hitbox is very, very small, which means they're not going to take as much damage, which means your Discord orb is not going to generate as much bonus damage, right? Whereas if you place it on the enemy tank, they're going to take a lot of damage. They're very easy targets to hit because they have large hitboxes and they position very far forward. And placing your orb on them applies a very, very significant amount of pressure to them, which prevents them from playing very aggressively. So your Discord orb is a tank's worst nightmare. Like, I genuinely, every single tank session I have, every single tank, I tell them, the first thing you do at the start of the game is look whether they have a Zenyatta. Because that fundamentally changes how you need to play the game. Yes. So obviously, in order to take advantage of that, we want to keep our Discord orb on the enemy tank basically 24/7. Okay. Now, another advantage of keeping our damage orb on the enemy tank 24/7 is that it prevents downtime. So when we switch orbs from person to person, that process isn't instantaneous. There's a little bit of travel time, which means the more often you swap orbs around, the more downtime there is. Moments in the game where nobody is orbed by you, which we want to avoid. It also makes it so that when you constantly swap your orb around, the enemies aren't going to play around it. So, for example, if you place your orb on the Sigma, but then 2 seconds later you just put it away from him, he won't have to play around it. But if you keep it on him, and he knows, Jesus fuck, this Zenyatta is just constantly putting Discord Orb on me, he has to adjust his playstyle in order to accommodate that. And also, swapping orbs around is a lot of micromanaging. And as Zenyatta, we already need to think a lot about our positioning, because we're very, very vulnerable. We have no mobility. We have a super easy to hit hitbox. We need to focus on landing our shots, right? Look for those opportunities. That is all already like very demanding. So having to also juggle our Discord orb around is very difficult. And everything I've just told you, this is the great thing about Zenyatta, everything I've told you one-to-one applies analogous to your Harmony Orb. So you also want to keep your Harmony Orb on your tank for the exact same reason. They're usually all the way...
switch it. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
They're usually all the way in the front, which means they're going to take the most damage, so they're going to benefit most from your Harmony Orb. Another benefit is that your Harmony Orb is not a burst heal. It heals very slowly, which means if you place it on a Tracer, for example, it won't protect her from getting one-shot, right? There are certain exceptions. For example, you have a Bastion here, right? If you see that your Bastion goes into turret form and he pushes in aggressively, you can momentarily put your Harmony Orb on him, because Bastion is, I mean, look at his health. He's basically a tank.
Yeah.
Right? Or another example is maybe a Brigitte who plays very aggressively, if your other support is a Brigitte. But generally speaking, we just want to keep it on the tank, because again, in the same way that the enemy tank has to play around a permanent Discord Orb on him, our tank can only really adjust his playstyle positively if he can rely on the Harmony Orb. If you put Harmony Orb on him, he goes in, and 2 seconds later you say, fuck you, I'm gonna orb this other person. He's not gonna be very happy, and he's, at that point, whenever he gets your Harmony Orb, he's not going to play around it. Right? He's not going to trust you. He's not going to trust the orb, basically. So the more consistent you can keep your orbs up on both tanks, the more impact you have on their respective playstyles. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Awesome. Good to know. Yeah. Makes it much simpler.
It does, right? And again, there's so much stuff we need to think about as Zenyatta. Now, again, when we start to look at very high-level gameplay, things change a little bit. There are situations where you might want to Harmony Orb a Genji, right? Where you might want to Discord Orb a Pharah. But none of that applies at Bronze, at Diamond.
Just keep it on the tanks.
Right? Just keep it on the tanks. If I was coaching a Masters player, I would give them the exact same advice. It's not until you reach much, much higher levels of play where communication is much, much more prevalent. Coordination between teammates is more of an is something you can expect. Then you can be a little bit more nuanced with your orbs, but for now, just put it on tanks. Awesome. And then the last thing we need to talk about is left click and right click usage. So when should we left click? When should we right click?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Well, left click majority of the time. I think you should right click when you're probably out of, like, they're out of sight or you're out of sight and you turn a corner and you hit them with it type of thing. Like, I don't want to be, like, I don't want to sit, I won't have as much damage per second if I'm sitting down here and I'm like absorbing or right clicking and then I let it out, versus if I'm you know, no one's in front of me and I'm coming around a corner or right clicking and then I turn the corner and I let it go, like assuming someone's there, maybe there.
So okay, so the main advantage of your left click is it has higher DPS, which means it's ideal for situations where that matters. For example, if there's a tank right in front of you that's discorded and you just want to burn them down, we use our left click, right? Or maybe if you're spamming shields, we use your left click. In all other situations, literally 90% of your time as Zenyatta, you hold down right click. Even if you don't see an enemy. just by default, like, do you see your hand position right now as Zen?
Yeah.
A high-level Zenyatta player doesn't see that. Basically never.
What?
Because this hand position implies that he's neither charging a right click nor firing his left click.
Wow, I'm confused. So he's okay. Wow. So right now he's charging something.
Yes, a high-level player would be charging right click right now.
Okay, all right. That's something I'm gonna have to get used to.
Because maybe he goes around this corner and he just randomly throws it. Like, that's something that as Zenyatta you have to do.
That's true.
You just have to blindly throw it at corners sometimes, you know? You just throw it at the corner and maybe someone runs into it. You throw it at the corner, maybe the Moira runs into it, right? The more often you flip a coin, the more often you'll get heads. Right? So you always want to be doing something. And right here, so now we can start looking at the gameplay. You're doing fuck all. Right? You're literally doing nothing. Right? And then here you start, you know, spamming your right click, your left click, which is okay.
I'm trying to
right?
this build, yeah.
Right? But the big problem is Discord. Right? Orbs are your priority. You have the orb on the Doomfist, which is very, very good. Correct target. But we need to, like, try to get our Discord orb on the Sigma as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Don't fuck around here shooting the shield. Fucking move, put Discord orb on him. The sooner, the better.
Okay.
And see, no Discord orb on anyone. One of the strongest abilities in the entire game. Just sitting there. And then you finally place it on someone, right? But it's on the Moira, right? Put it on the Sigma, right? As a little bit of nuance, if you were like a GM player, I would have told you that you could also put it on the Brigitte here. But again, for now, we'll just keep it simple. We're simplifications. Just put it on the Sigma. Like, putting it on the Sigma is never wrong. Or like, putting it on the enemy tank is never wrong.
True.
It's always at least okay. But yeah, it's on the Moira. And how much damage is this Moira taking?
None.
You landed like one left click,
yeah,
right? That doesn't do much. Right? And in the meantime, that Sigma, he's holding the front line. He's applying pressure. And look what happens to your team. You guys are getting forced back. Because the Sigma can do whatever the heck he wants.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so crazy. It's so simple. But you would think people would get that. But people like me are like, no, I'm just... Like, you would think people would get that. But I just autopilot when I get that.
That's what I'm here for.
Thank you.
So, and then also you can see, you spam your left click a lot, okay? And now this is going to be a little bit painful, but I'm going to, I'm going to be a sports announcer here, and I'm just going to call your shots, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Miss, 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 hit, miss, 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 miss. Reloading. Miss, hit, hit, miss, hit. Hit. Few hits.
You like that, yeah.
Very nice. Miss, 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 hit, hit, miss, miss. You get the idea.
Yes.
Okay. So a good rule of thumb is
13% accuracy.
A good rule of thumb is only use your left click if you're like 80 to 90% sure it's actually going to connect. Right?
Okay.
This Symmetra in front of you walking in a straight line, left click away. No problem. Okay. Randomly spamming people in the enemy backline, don't left click. Waste of time.
See, I thought that's the right thing to do because they're all bundled up. I just suck at aiming. I thought that was the right thing.
No, this has nothing to do with aim. So Zenyatta's projectiles aren't particularly fast, which means if the enemy's AD strafe, whether you land your left clicks always has a certain component of RNG. There's always going to be a little bit of randomness based on how the enemy moves. Right?
So what would I do in this situation?
Charge up a right click. Zenyatta
Really?
is very vulnerable. You don't even want to be here, because if you're out in the open, you're very vulnerable. Right here, what you would do is you would just hide behind cover, charge up your right click, peek, fucking unload, back behind cover, back to charging. Peek, unload, charge, unload,
Okay,
charge,
so
unload.
And why would I do that when you said... I know one's burst basically and the other one's more... But you said left click's more DPS. I'm just missing it.
Yes. Left click is more DPS if you hit it. So when you're playing at these kinds of ranges, the DPS isn't going to kill the enemies. Especially when you play against good opponents, that DPS just gets healed back up. Landing a fully charged right click into an enemy, that doesn't get healed. And when you land those right clicks, even if it doesn't kill the target, it applies a very significant amount of pressure. Imagine the enemy team has a Widowmaker.
They have to answer to it, yeah.
Imagine the enemy team has a Widowmaker, and every single time you peek her, she body shots you. She doesn't headshot you, right? She's not insane. But every single time, the moment you peek, bam, body shot, you're low HP. How would that apply change your playstyle, right? You'd be under a lot of pressure. You'd have to play more passively. Because sure, she's only landing body shots now, but you don't know that, right? And kind of the same thing here. When you throw right clicks at the enemies, sure, maybe it wasn't enough to kill an enemy, but they don't know that. The next one might kill them. So by applying that pressure on squishies, you use your Discord orb to apply pressure on the tank, and you use your right click to apply pressure on squishies.
Damn. That's going to be very hard for me to get my brain around. I mean, I agree with you now that you explained it, but I'm just so... I just thought you would just... They're all right there, right in front of you. You're just throwing, high DPS. I know I'm missing, but bam, 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 bam. And I feel like... Because I know I'm going to be playing the game, and I'm going to be like, man, I have so much downtime because I'm sitting back here charging, going out.
No. See, but that's where I have to interrupt you. Is that downtime?
I guess it's not, but you get what I'm saying. Is what I mean, you're right, but it's how it's what my brain would process it. But I guess it's not if you're really doing some damage.
You calling that downtime is like the equivalent of, let's say I have like $5,000 on my bank account. I mean, I wish, but let's say I have that much just lying around for some reason, and I decide to invest 4.5 of that, leave some for rent. I decide to invest 4.5 of that in stocks. Like, I'm not poor now, I'm investing.
Oh, like you say, yeah, you're an investor all of a sudden.
Right? I have less money now, but assuming I don't invest into fucking Twitter, I'll have more money later. Does that make sense?
So you said do that basically 90% of the time?
Pretty much, yes.
Wow.
It's called fishing. Fishing for picks.
Okay.
But yeah, Discord or placement wrong, randomly spamming left clicks, right? Yeah. Right here, left clicking, right. Left clicking is fine when someone is right in front of you. If the enemy Sigma is right in front of you, just left click his head. If there's a shield in front of you that you can't get around, just left click the shield. If there's a Symmetra running it down, just left click the Symmetra.
Okay, that you just said that's a good point. So in the beginning when he had the shield up, I mean, yeah, I know I should have went around and put the Discord, but for shields, am I bursting or am I just left clicking shields and the shield's down, then I right click?
So it depends on whether you can circumvent the shield. If you can circumvent the shield somehow, for example, Sigma's shield isn't particularly large. Usually you can kind of sneak shots around it somehow by repositioning a little bit. Then you want to prioritize that. But with bigger shields, for example, a Reinhardt shield is much, much bigger. Sometimes you won't be able to get past it with your right clicks without positioning, putting your safety in jeopardy. So you're better off just burning down the shield with your team.
Okay.
But yes, right now, because we're missing all of these shots, the amount of pressure we apply is nigh zero. Very, very little pressure. And yeah, I don't think that Discord was on the enemy Sigma once. And now, look, it's also very important that we're aware, right? You can always see who your Harmony is on, right?
Yeah.
You need to be aware that when that disappears, right, you need to track that teammate. And when that disappears, like right here, he's behind a wall, so it disappears, right? After 3 seconds out of LOS, I think, it disappears. As soon as they re-enter line of sight, put the orb on him. But you don't. Your orb is on, your Harmony is on nothing, your Discord is on nothing, you're left-clicking the ground. This is literally, like, at that point, what's the difference between you being dead? Like it sounds
No,
very
right, though. Yeah.
depressing,
No, he's
but right, it doesn't generate any value. All you're doing is passively charging ult charge, which again you'd also be doing if you were dead. So this doesn't do anything. Okay, right here, this is a situation where we could have put Discord on Brigitte. Right, so I mentioned earlier that like certain characters like Bastion and Brigitte, you can kind of treat them like tanks. So if the enemy team has a Bastion or Brigitte, you can also orb them when they overextend. Right? But right here, you didn't orb her. And now we need to get the hell out of here. Oh, yeah. Wow!
I told you it's hard to watch. Do you still want to say that diamond thing in the ear?
Wow. No, of course. The worse you are now, the faster you'll improve. Like at this point, it's really not. You can do like basically anything. You know, it's like a fucking feast of things to choose from. It's like a buffet. Because this ultimate, may God have mercy on your soul. Your tank is dead. Your Bastion is dead. What the fuck are you ulting here? Or who?
True.
You know?
Me and her, I thought. Which I end up dying here anyway.
Well, you and her, that didn't look very.
I agree.
Where's the I in team?
She could jump to me, I thought.
Yeah, I guess. Didn't happen though. Which again shows us we don't ult here.
Yeah.
That ult was terrible because this is called a stagger, and it's called throwing away your team's ult economy.
Okay.
Because now you don't have your ultimate for the next fight, and you didn't gain anything out of this ultimate. So it's basically as if, imagine Blizzard released a patch, right, that says whenever you use your ultimate, there's a 50% chance it doesn't do anything. You just lose the ultimate.
I don't like that patch.
That's basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
You literally would have been better off if your keyboard broke and wouldn't let you queue there.
Okay.
Also your death is a staggered death, right? You guys are like kings at staggering. When someone dies, you have to get the hell out of there. Because you died super late.
It's crazy how much that happens in bronze. It's crazy.
Right, it does. The good thing is that because you're making so many mistakes, I'm actually now more concerned about us not being able to finish this replay code. Because there's just so much stuff to point out every 2 seconds. But I see, look, now your Roadhog staggered, and now your Bastion staggered. Yeah. So now you guys are entering something that's called a trickle. You guys are trickling in like drops, one by one by one. Right? Okay. You don't want to trickle, you want to form, regroup, and be a tsunami. Just washing over the enemy team as a unit. Mm-hmm. Obviously, while your tank is dead, that's also one of the situations where you can harmony orb other teammates. This position here is just... I mean, you're just begging.
If they pushed me, I'd be dead.
You're genuinely begging to continue staggering. Your goal here needs to be just regroup. Right? Okay, and not only is your position here just wild, you have the gall to stand still.
Damn.
That is just bold as fuck.
Hey, Zenyatta got some balls, man.
True that. Fortunately, your tracer is insane, right?
One thing real fast. Right there where I'm aiming down the thing. Like, not there, but when I go down, I go like 5 seconds after this. Am I charging or am I charging? I charge them?
Yes.
Okay, I would charge them.
Right. It's like... It's like whenever you go to like a fucking investors meeting and you have no idea about stocks, you know, you just say, "Oh, I'm feeling really bullish on the tech industry." Like 90% of the time, people aren't going to question that. You know, it's kind of the same thing here with the right click. Like even in situations where technically left click is better, nobody's going to say, "Oh, you shouldn't have right click." You know, it's like right clicking is just never wrong. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, but your tracer. God bless her, she got 2 kills. What should we do now?
Push forward?
Yes. What are we doing?
Chilling.
Is that good?
Walking backwards.
right? And again, I mean, I genuinely, as harsh as it sounds, I could literally make like an entire video about bad movement and just use this as background footage.
Hey, go ahead.
It's like it is not good.
I think the reason I do, well, I mean, I'm just bad, but like you said, with his mechanicalness, it's hard to hit the projectiles when I'm moving left and right too. So I consciously just want to stand still and try to hit them and then move maybe.
I mean, yes. I'm actually learning Chinese right now. That's pretty hard. I have two options. I could just use a translator app on my phone. Or I could study.
No, I can try it. You're right. That's what this is for, exactly.
You know, yes, you can stand still. But then don't complain about getting funny looks at a fucking restaurant, you know?
Yeah.
Right here, this is also another example where discarding a non-tank is a good idea when the enemy team uses Bob. So this is very good. And yeah, your orb should not be on the Tracer. It should be on the Roadhog. Because do you see how low that Roadhog is?
Yeah.
Could really use it. Right here, again, discard on Brig. Very good. Very late.
And I'm charging here. I'm right-clicking, basically. Or
Exactly.
it should be. Around corners,
Just
pop
right.
around, boom. Okay.
Just right-click. Right? Okay. Right here, the Sigma. Right? First of all, again, for the love of God, your Roadhog is literally starving on heals. Get the poor boy some Harmony orbs to snack on. And this Sigma needs to eat a dick. Like, he's just chilling.
My bad.
You know? Like right here, your Discord is like literally right here. Your tank, he's like, bro, he's on life support. And you're like, sorry, man, what? You caught COVID? There's this other guy with lung cancer after smoking for 50 years. We'll have to take the ventilator away from you. Tough luck. Damn. You know? Like tough shit that your Bastion is feeding. This Roadhog, he's your tank. He's your little girl. You need to focus on him. Mercy takes care of the Bastion. That Roadhog, he's your responsibility.
Damn, okay.
Now we do finally have a Discord on the enemy Sigma. And now, this situation. What would be really nice in this situation?
I'm not sure. Having the Discord on him, back up more. I'm not sure.
Having a Transcendence?
Oh, yeah, it would be nice, yeah.
Right? But unfortunately we used it earlier in a 2v5.
Yeah.
So,
that'd be nice right there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You die, Roadhog die, both very, very preventable tragedies.
Okay.
So yeah, the pressure that you apply onto the enemy team so far is very little. The amount of security and confidence you give your tank is very little. And the, the amount of hard time you're giving the enemy to hit you is also very little.
Okay.
Because again, imagine I'm an enemy and I stand in front of you. Is this hard to hit?
Not at all.
No. It's really, really easy. And then again, right here, this is the first time this game, I think, where your orbs are correctly placed. So that's really, really good. But again, don't left click, right click.
Yeah, right click those, okay.
But look what happened.
What about my positioning? Like where I'm at? Should I get closer or?
So this is a little bit more advanced. Okay, I'm going to mention why the positioning here is bad, but I want you to kind of think of this as a little side note. I don't want you to like focus too much on implementing it yet. That's something we'll focus on later. Technically, the correct position would be down here. Whoops. For multiple reasons. The first reason is you'd be closer, which makes it easier to land shots. Number two, the enemies are on the same vertical level as you. which means instead of being able to move up, down, left, right, any forwards and backwards movement gets nullified, and only left and right movement actually comes through to your screen, gets projected on your screen. And number 3, this gives you a corner that you can play around, whereas this position does not.
Okay.
Right? I mean, technically you can play here, but you're like on the fucking ass of the world. But look, orbs are on the right targets. Enemy Sigma dies.
Finally.
It's that easy, right? Right here, Symmetra is in your team. Discord her, left click her. 100% the correct play, right? The enemy Sigma is dead, so we can place our Discord more freely. After the tank is dead, we prioritize overextended enemies who are close to our team, while keeping Harmony Orb ideally on the tank. Because look, right here, you think you're being super duper nice by Harmony Orbing the Tracer, right? But she recalls anyways. So, you know.
That bitch. Okay, yeah.
Okay, we do have another trans. Your orb really needs... Oh, that's very premature. Wow. Okay. Another piece of advice. Again, I know this is so much info, but it's just important, you know.
I'm writing it all down in this recorder, so it's fine.
The enemy... wait, what the fuck am I saying, bro? I'm tired. Before you ult, place orbs, because you can't do during the ultimate.
Okay.
Because right here, your Discord orb is on no one. Which means for the entire duration of the ultimate, that little Discord symbol is just sad. Which is really bad, because especially during your ultimate, your teammates can push in very aggressively, right?
Yeah.
One secret advantage that not a lot of people realize about Discord Orb is not just that it increases the amount of damage an enemy takes, it also increases the likelihood they'll get focused.
That's true too, yeah.
You're basically putting a hunter's mark on an enemy. Right here. Imagine, just for a second, instead of landing that one left click, that was a fully charged right click.
She's out. Yeah, true.
But look, no burst damage, so she just fucks off. And she's still gonna die here, right? But you get the idea.
Yeah.
Also, you are so ludicrously split from your team, it is actually painful. This Ashe lives in your head, rent-free.
Yeah, she does.
Like, literally. Look what she's doing.
She's just pulling me away from the team, basically.
Yeah.
Or that, yeah. Yeah.
Like... like, I'm sure there's, like, an insane analogy for what the fuck you're doing here, but this is, like, you know... Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just not worth it. Because your tank, like, your poor tank. Like,
you know, the way I look at this is I have a lot to improve, so I can only go up from here.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll finally spare you any further suffering, because we're at the end of the session. Do you have any questions?
Nope. I'm just gonna play more. I'm gonna try to play, 3+ hours. I'm going to record my hand and do deathmatch or free for all for try to get some aim thing from you. And I took all the notes. Basically, I'm gonna keep my just fuck. I'm just gonna fuck with tanks. I'm gonna help my tank fuck the other tank, basically.
That is
and charge my right clicks.
That's the goal.
There it is. I appreciate this.
Awesome. No problem. I'll get the recording to you on Google Drive as quick as possible, and I'll send you the link. And if you need anything,
awesome.
My DMs are open.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You have a good one.
You too. See ya.
Yeah, bye-bye.